Hello everyone. I hope you've been enjoying your weekend. Yesterday I had a free make and take here at home, and so I thought for those of you that weren't able to make it that I would demonstrate the card that I had as one of the free make and take cards. So there's a new catalogue come out, so the new September mini catalogue is out and lots of lovely things in there. One of my favourite products from the new catalogue is the Wreath 3D embossing folder. Traditional Wreath, it's called. It's on page 22 of the new catalogue. So let's have a little demo with this. So I've done the blue using the Misty Moonlight. So that's, I can't quite get the light right in here. It's a little bit dark today, even though it's been really lovely, sunny and warm. So you can see here it's got the silver embossing between the leaves. This one, so this is done on the embossed side, so on the side where the label, the Stampin' Up label is on. And then this one, you can see here, I haven't quite finished it, but I wanted to show you the debossed side, so the different effects. So here you're getting a lot of embossing powder in the leaves, and here you're just getting the outline of the leaves. So also I've just used on this card, I'm really loving the Peaceful Days stamps, and I've just used this cute little flower and scroll stamp. I've just used that on here. And then for the sentiments, I've used, now what do they call, I keep forgetting, the traditional labels. So that comes as a bundle. So the sentiments plus all the different dies that cut out the label. Okay. And then I've used a little bit of the metallic enamel effects. This has been discontinued, but I got a lovely supply of it, and I'm hoping that Stampin' Up will bring it back. So we'll have a little play with that as well. So first of all, what we're doing is we're just going to open our folder. We're going to ink it up. Now I thought I'd see what it was like with the green. So I'm using Old Olive here. So I'm just going to dab it on the side where the label is, because I want the embossed side rather than the debossed side. So I'm just going to tap it on. It doesn't have to be completely covered. And then I'm just going to give it a bit of a spray with water. So you want it to not be completely flooded, but you want a good amount of water on there. And then you want to take a little bit of note with where you're positioning it. So I'm going to position it smack bang in the middle, and then just close it down and put it through my little embossing machine here. And so we've got that nice, just mild green, if you can see that. So that, to me, I quite like that effect. So it's just mild. And of course I forgot to grab my nappy. Hey babe, could you grab my nappy for me? It's just, you'll see it, or the towel that's hanging there. It's my wonderful husband. So we're just going to put that aside to dry a little bit. Look at this nappy. They're 29 years old, these beautiful nappies. I love them. They're a great tool. Okay, so just wiping that off, popping it over there. While that's drying, we're just going to die cut the little label out. I love this little machine. How cool is this? I call it my little handbag. It's so light and swingable. I just love it. And very compact as well. So we're just going to put our plates on. So we've just got the white plate. Then I've got my well-used cutting plate. I might turn it over because it's bowing just a little bit in that direction. And then I like to tape down my dies just so they don't move while I'm die cutting them. So we line those up, and then the top one we just want to put a little bit off kilter, just so that it goes through the machine a little bit easier. And just wind that through. Okay, pop my handbag over there, and we've got our little label. Okay, so we've got that little label, and I'm just going to edge around that with a bit of the green ink, so the old olive ink again. And then I think I'm going to make this just a little bit, might just try it a little bit vintagey. Oh, I think this has got some of the garden green on it, this blending tool. I was using a bit of a brighter green yesterday. That's all right, it'll make it stand out. Now I think I'm also going to put a little bit of the crumb cake, or as one of my fellow demonstrator calls it, cake crumbs. Gotta love that old cake crumbs, don't you? So I'm just going to put a bit of brown around the edge, and that will just make it stand out as well. Okay, so there's our little label. And then with a little bit of black ink, I'm just going to stamp up the sentiment, ink up the sentiment, and then just line it up. There we go. And I'm just going to, I've fallen in love with this little stamp here, so I'm just going to pop that little bit in the little white area. I think I might do it that way. There we go, so that's done. Just pop that there. Now, just see how this is going. Yeah, so it's a little bit wet. So I'm just going to dry it off a bit. And the card might buckle a little bit. I just find if you alternate between drying it on the front and the back, then that works out quite nicely. Okay, so I think that's enough. Okay, now that we've got this wiped off, we're going to grab the Versamark, and we're going to have our little embossing tray, and we're going to have our gold ready to go. So again, we're just going to tap down, and again, it doesn't have to be super regular, and you're not pushing through to China, you're just tapping it gently, because you don't want it absolutely covered in gold. You're wanting it as a bit of a feature, not as the whole. Now, this is the slightly tricky part where you need to reline. So on the non-stamps, the non-Stampin' Up side, you're going to just line up the embossing folder. And I think I've got that right. That looks like it's in place. So you're going to do it on the side that you haven't done your ink. And then you're just going to press down. And that's going to go through whatever machine you're using to emboss with. Bring it out, plonk it in a little tray, and then just spread on your embossing powder. Now we're going to put the lid on that because inevitably I knock it over. Just going to shake it all around, try and keep it in the tray. That's it. And then what we can do, see we've got a big patch in here. I want to get rid of some of that. But basically the rest of it, sometimes you get a definite line and there's a bit of a line going down here. So I'm just going to tap it with a paintbrush just to soften it a little bit. So in here, I don't want that big wad of gold. I just want it looking a bit distressed and not too much. So you can just keep tapping it until you're happy with the way it's looking. Okay, maybe just a little bit, just to soften that definite edge there. Okay, so then we're going to heat that up with our heat tool. And when you're embossing, I tend to find that if you go to one area away from your fingers and wait until that changes. So I don't know if you can see it in the light, it's changed in that bottom corner there. So, and then just follow it around. No need to do this sort of thing. Just chase where the embossing is changing. And like I said, away from your fingers. I want to angle it so that you can see it, but I'm not having too much success with it. Now, if you overheat the embossing powder, it will then go flat and dull. So you won't be getting that nice shine. I love this Stampin' Up heat tool because it's nice and it's not too noisy. Other heat tools I've had over the years are very noisy, so this one's quite good. It doesn't scare our cats too much. Okay, almost done. It's taking a bit of time. Might have been because the paper's a bit wet as well. And I didn't really heat up the tool. So if you run it a little bit before you start, of course that's going to make it heat up quicker. Okay, so there it is there. I'm quite happy with that. Now, if you did want, because that green is quite pale, and now that the gold's on there, it's quite pale. So what you could do is then get your blending brush and add a little bit more of the green. So you can just blend on a little bit more just to bring that green up a little bit more. What I've done on other cards, and I'll show you actually on this little mini album that I made, I actually braided over it. So you can see there's some little dark spots here. So when you brayer over it, it just brings a bit of colour onto the top. So we could have, if I had had my brayer sitting here, of course we could have added that, but I'm just going to go and pop a little bit more green on because I don't mind that white that's coming through, because I always think white and gold look very classy. Okay, so that's that there. Now look what I've got down here. I've got this flat area here where I haven't quite lined it up. So I could nip that off with the trimmer and then I wouldn't have an even border around my card. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to distress it. So this is a little, just a tool that I've picked up over the years, but you could just use the edge of your scissors as well to distress the edge of that. So we're just going to distress it up. But the other thing is I could make this the top of the card, and rather than having the card going landscape, I could have it going horizontally. So I'm just rubbing this backwards and forwards just to get quite a distressed edge on it. And you could even tear it and roll it, like it depends on how distressed you like things. And the card is your card. It's up to you. It's your creativity. So we could just, yep, so can tear it and give it a little roll with your thumb. So see, we've got that little tear there. We could do, say, another one here. Okay, then I'm going to green it up again so that that white edge is now a bit green. Now you might think, and sometimes I do it, actually I do it quite often, where I just take things one step too far. So I'm playing here, so then you can decide how far you want to. And I'm just going to, on the very edge, like I did with the sentiment label, just put a little bit of brown. And I think that just gives it a nice little frame. Okay, so to me, that piece of card, because I haven't quite centered the wreath, to me it looks like it should go that way. And then that will sit like that. So now I just need my card, my base card. Now, because you're working on that, I really find you need to use your bone scorer to give that a nice score down. Then I'm just going to add some tape. Now, because this is like a little bit warped, I'm going to put tape on all four sides and diagonally across, just so it's nice and secure. Gosh, tape. Thank heavens for fingernails, hey? Okay, so that's off. Now I'm going to have it, I think this one I'm going to actually have it going this way. So just centering that as best I can, and then adding some dimensionals to the back. Now when you use dimensionals, put them in from the edge. Don't just have them right on the very edge, because you want these things to look like they're floating rather than being like seeing the sentiment. Okay. Oh, look what I've done to there. I don't know where I got that bit of ink from. So we're just centering that, and I think I'm working a little bit off kilter here. Okay, now I'm going to add some of the liquid pearls. So the metallic enamel effects is always the last thing you use because it's wet. This one here is asking to be rolled. This little corner. And I'll just roll that little corner there as well. Now these have got little berries on them. I'm going to just put a little dot in the center of the flowers just to emphasize them a little bit more. And then you've got on the actual embossing folder is some berries as well. So I'm just going to add the enamel effects to those berries. And I mean, you can always add them to where you want to if you're thinking it needs a few more, but I'm thinking this is probably just enough. Maybe not there. Okay, so that's my little Christmas card. So if you wanted to be a traditional red and green, you could have made the little plaque in the red, like blended with red and stamped with red. That would give you your traditional red and green. But if you just want that monochromatic, then I just kept everything the same. So that's that little card. I hope you enjoyed that, and happy crafting. If you'd like to get your hands on any of these products, then please just contact me and I'll be very happy to help you out. Okay, take care. Happy crafting. Bye.